Hey everyone, I'm Phoenix, and this is the second episode for the Natural Disasters Alpine Village scenario that we're doing in City Skylines. In the last episode we grew to Boomtown. We unlocked some buses, we placed a few lines, we narrowly avoided bankruptcy, which would have been an immediate failure for the scenario, and continued to grow and plan the city. At the start of that video I also went over the mods that I was using for this series, and you can find a collection of them on Steam, which I'll put in the description of this video below. Today I want to expand this city. We need to try and satisfy the residential demand that we've got at the moment, and I want to try and grow the city through a few more milestones. I also want to focus on optimizing the public transport configuration so that we can maximize the number of people, because 500,000's still a fair way off. This is roughly where we left the map, so before we dive into the next steps, I just want to go back and tidy up a few things that I noticed while editing the last video. Bear with me while I'll time-lapse this bit, and I'll just finish up the main bus road loop. So the keen-eyed amongst you will notice here that I've made a mistake. That flashing disconnected power line in the middle is going to come back to haunt us. Just keep an eye on it. Let's see what it does to our population. I can't believe this happened. And it was probably about this time that I should have noticed that 200 odd flashing electric warning signs in the top watch it section there. That probably would have been a good indicator that something's not quite right. But we've got an increasing population and money's still going up, so nothing's gone too wrong just yet. Ah, there it is, hovering over the money and the population, trying to figure out what's going on. Wait a minute, something's not quite right here. So I kinda had figured out now what was wrong. Thankfully we've resolved it, we've got power back to all these places, but I think the damage has been done. Our population's almost halved. I wonder what impact it's going to have on our ability to reach the goal. And also, around about this time, I took my headset off. One of my kids walked into the room, and we started talking about what those funny shapes were over the road. They're the pedestrian bridge builder mod that I mentioned in the last episode. You can click over the top of an intersection, it'll automatically generate that path for you, which you would have seen me create a little bit earlier in the time lapse. It was around about here that I started realizing that people want to move back into that residential area, which is great, but they're taking a very weird route through the industrial area. They're not using that main double lane road that we were given at the start of the scenario, so something's going on there. And I come back and I actually turn this exit off the roundabout into a one-way road so that industrial traffic can leave, but residential is kind of forced through the rest of the city. And you'll see that the AI takes a little while, obviously, but eventually it resolves itself and traffic ends up going down those main roads. You'll see some weird people cut through the industrial area for the next few seconds or so. So, after all that, it's time for us to jump through and start building up some residential demand again. I think I'm going to go ahead and buy this square down here. I quite like the look of this area on the riverbank. This could be quite a nice suburban area. I can imagine it on the... Is that a lake? It's maybe the ocean. Yeah, I can imagine this being down here, and we've already got a good area to branch off here with a roundabout at the top. So I'll draw a quick tunnel through the hill, keep an eye on our money, because I do still want that to keep on going up, and see where I can get to down here. And it was kind of about now that, yeah, I had a moment of weakness. I went and I took the second loan out, the one that I was kind of keeping in my back pocket as a buffer, and thought, yeah, this will allow me to just finish the tunnel off. But, yeah, just hang in there, watch what happens next. This is almost unbelievable. So just as I'm checking the roundabout builder, I see the orange bar behind, and yeah, immediately zoom out, figure out where we're going to get hit, and there we go. Oh no, I've got no second loan. I've got very little in the bank to help me with this. This is not going to end very well. So watch how we have to react to this one. I very quickly put down the disaster response disaster response unit building. I didn't realize quite how large it was, and this is quite a hilly area, so finding the right place for that was difficult at first. You'll see the helis come in over the course of the game now. They'll try and find survivors in the buildings, and I need to rebuild a bunch of the roads and stuff. So that's fun times. What a detour. Alright, wow, well that was something. Wasn't expecting that. Probably should have done some more reading. I was sitting here trying to figure out, how I can best get these buses to turn around after they go through this stop here, because it was having them run all the way underground down here for some reason was not ideal. And then all of a sudden, yeah, got that alert that you saw. Wow. It definitely decimated a whole bunch of our residential zones. I'll just tidy some of this up so that people can rebuild. I will put that footpath back in because people love walking. I wonder what that's done to our goals actually. So I'll just quickly put that back in. Okay, but people have all rebuilt back in here. We've still got quite high demand again. Demand's creeping back up. Thankfully, I'd taken out a loan not long before because our money cost quite a lot to run these high throughput roads. It cost quite a lot of money to run them underground, but I really didn't really want to run that up and over the hill. It's much more realistic, I think, to run it through the hill. So where do we get to with that? Let's see if we can have a look. I'll run this through here. Okay. So I want you minus 27. Damn. Alright, I want you to come out around about here, I think. Let's see if this works. Let's pause the game. Yep, there we go. So It's not entirely realistic, which is a bit frustrating, but I think you get the gist. It pops out here. We'll run quite a large suburb down here to try and satisfy some of that demand, and we'll leave the commercial up here, which will hopefully force our residents to use our public transport. So hopefully we can hit that goal. Speaking of the goal, we're getting closer to a busy town, which is good, but this is still tiny, and this is a good third of the way through now, which is a little bit scary. So I'm hoping this takes off exponentially. If we have a look at our transport lines here, we're only doing 260 a week. If I put Metro in as well down here and shuttle them up to here, we can maybe rebrand this from residential as well, move these residents down here and put commercial up here. I'll build out a quick grid here that's nice and simple with cheap roads because we're running out of money again, and I've already taken both loans, and we'll see where we get to. So probably another time lapse coming your way now. I was wondering why that was so expensive. I'd accidentally had my height still set to 2 meters above ground. So I definitely want to just go to normal ground. Thank you. And now another one. I'll go down 4 and up 4 as well. I'll come back here and put a nice roundabout in. Relatively large one, because this will be the front per se of our suburb. And then we'll just upgrade this road here, coming into the roundabout. Normally I would continue on a main avenue, especially if I was designing this for cars. I'd drag a main avenue down here about the width of the suburb that I wanted, just so that the traffic continued through. But because we're using buses, and we're going to focus primarily on buses, I think it's going to be easier for us to try and just keep this really low-key residential. It's also cheaper, which helps at this stage. But for now, I'll turn road guidelines back on, and I'll build out the rest of this square, because it seems like everything else is going okay, and it's just the residential demand that we're screaming for now. So I'll be back with you soon. We did it again, down to $66 without even noticing. I'm hoping that this zooms up and we don't have any immediate issues up here. Gonna have to run the game quite fast. That's not even going to be enough to be able to run water down. Is it? Nope. So that's going to be 3800-ish. I can put a water tower in, that might be cheaper. It's 3500. At the moment we've got enough availability up top, so for now I think I'll just continue running this as soon as I can. That's it. And then I'll put a very short road in here and start running people off it. Okay. We'll claim this as a district, again for the same reason as before, just that we want to make sure that we have some policies set to encourage them to go and work instead of school, because for this that's going to be more important, unless we end up getting to the point where we have a university or something and they run off to university, but that's probably unrealistic, seeing as that the timeline that we have. I don't want to do that. I want to do this. now. That'll do. I'm going to bring you across, so I'll save destroying you guys later. Oh, wrong one. And yeah, electricity. How am I going to get electricity down here? So I can run it off the back of here and through the mountain. It's probably going to be cheapest. We don't have a lot of availability, but I don't really have many other options. Because these are going to be $6,000. And it's outside of area, so that's a nice little challenge I've given us there. These guys are going to start screaming for electricity in a second. And also, obviously, I need to run some bus lines to encourage these guys to take the bus. So I'll drag... You're the main loop that goes all the way around, right? So I'll drag you down. And put you here. Like that. Same for you. Drag you down, put you here, just so those guys are serviced by buses. That's don't really want you to. Oh, that's going to overlap, isn't it? That's alright. Maybe if we do this, you can satisfy that side of the road. And we put a stop in the middle on each side. Yay! And now we've hit Busy Town. Alright, got a bit close, got a bit gnarly in the middle there. Really scraping for some dollars and cents, but yeah, we've just hit Busy Town. Let's have a look at our goal. Our goal's pretty scary, and we're almost, well, not halfway, we're 2/3 of the way. 20,000, 50,000. I'm hoping that it's exponential though. So we've now got this, which unlocks a bunch of other stuff like free public transport, which can really increase the usage. So I can turn that on, provided we've got the the buffer in our budget. And there's a whole bunch of other bigger buildings, sightseeing buses maybe. Again, some of this is from the workshop, and some of it's from mods, and some of it's from the base game. So if you see things here that you don't recognize, it could either be the version of the game that I've got everything except Sunset Harbor at this stage, or it could be things that I've picked up from the workshop over time. I will include the list below. One of the things that's scary is that we've got a very underperforming electricity supply at the moment. We've got about $60,000, which is good. This will just fit within our budget, and it doesn't pollute, which is great. So I'll try and find a place to put this right next to the power line. This will upset people, but I think it should cover us for all the rest of the power that we need for the rest of this scenario. So let's see how we go. still making a good amount of money and still got quite a large demand, so it's good to see. I'll go and add some more bus lines back down here as well, because these guys are now cutting through here, which is not what we want. We want you to stop somewhere else and then loop back and come back through there. So see what I can do with that. Okay, these will continue to grow out. Probably going to want some pedestrian overpasses, but if I swap the bus lines around, I can put this one on the inside of here. Oh, wait a minute. So if I drag that to there, let's get rid of you for a second. We will bring you back, but I want the buses on the inside. So that I don't need to build overpasses everywhere. And now add you there. Okay, remove that stop. Remove that stop and move that stop to there. Yep. And there and there. So they do overuse this roundabout a bit. I might actually, because we've got 2 lanes coming in here, I might actually upgrade that to a 3-lane road. Now that we've got that unlocked. I'm not sure if that was unlocked before, probably should have double checked. And then I will set it up like that. And that should hopefully reduce the number of people that are dependent here. I also want to make sure that we have a good connection out here, but it's not dependent on the main road. So what I'll do is I will destroy the footpath there. That'll do. And then I can destroy that one and just load it up with a short one that has a footpath. Yeah, and I'll drive a footpath through one of these houses because we do still have some residential demand, thankfully. Turn off road guidelines because it's a pain in the butt. For this, I'll take you straight from there to there, and from there up to there. Okay. Okay, let's see what that does. Now, down here as well, or a city-wide policy actually. Let's do the city, let's have a look at a budget first of all. Cool, we've just repaid that, so that gives us another safety net. Policies. But, that's right, first I was looking at budget, because we've got to look at how much we lose. Yeah, so total cost, we're not making any money at all, so we might as well make it free. Over here to encourage public transport and prefer schools out. And that should hopefully bump our public transport usage a bit, and as we get more and more people in. Okay, you're fine. Got some bulldozed buildings here. might change some of this to commercial. I'm going to lose some houses, but they'll hopefully move further down. Do we have death care? No, not yet. I need some form of cemetery. Slope too steep there. Okay, no, slope too steep. Ah, here we go. Then I don't know, I can't put in under the power lines. Ah, there we go, slope too steep. Doesn't want to live anywhere, does it? You can just put on the main road up here, I guess. For now, that will do. It has power, it has water. That should hopefully resolve some of our death issues. At least until we get to the next level as well. Maybe I'll add a matching mirrored one on this side of the road. Just so that even though it's not servicing all the way down here, we can resolve that. Look at that, that's pretty cool. How the meteor cleared out the ground under there. It'd be an interesting place to live. But I'm happy that all this has come back up to what it was. There are even houses upgrading up here, which is very cool. So, looks like we'll be going okay. There's crime down here because we don't have any of the police stations or anything. We can put some of those in. Old school firehouse. Oh, you don't have water. No. I didn't go on that side of the road yet. 22 wide. And all the way down. Go. Come back and put some footpaths in. Handy with the pedestrian bridge builder, you can also highlight the ends of roads where you'd normally want to put footpaths in, and it connects them up. Doesn't do so well here, doesn't understand that I might want to go down there, but that's yeah, not necessarily a problem with the plugin. That's more of a me making my intent clear. So that's looking fine. We'll run water off to the other side of here, and then we can flesh out this suburb and get our numbers, hopefully get our numbers right up. We're running all of this on quite a tight budget now. But we've still got healthy growth, we've still got quite a large demand. I've just got to get the numbers up so that I don't fail this challenge. There's already heaps of people using the overpass. Good. To get onto the right bus. Yep, good. How are our lines looking? Heaps of passengers. Okay, good. Yep, this is per week, not overall. Overall, we're still... What's our next milestone? Big Town. Okay, so we're on our way to Big Town. Good. Yep, 30. Okay, so... do need to probably break that bus loop into 2 at some point. But yeah, we're getting somewhere. sewerage connection. Oh no. Okay, that's not a problem you want to have. So these are in the marketplace. They're quite good. They're just the water treatment clarifying basin, but it's not cheating because the stats are pretty appropriate, but I do think the drain capacity is way too high, especially for this one, the water treatment basin. It's quite cheap for what it gives you. So I'll just go back and put another one of these in, keeping with the spirit of the game. And connect that up. That should be enough for now. If we unpause. Yep. Ideally we'd have a third. Let's do that. Oh, just like it was made for it. There we go. And I've probably got enough money. Let's get rid of this one and put another eco one in. I was just having a look at what options we have. I don't have any of the hubs available to me yet. This one's ferry and bus. I don't exactly know how valuable that'll be. Could probably put it in down here somewhere and run ferries up, but that's another reinvestment and our budget's still quite tight. So I think as soon as it's available, I'll put in a bus stop. It's available now, but I'll give it a minute to continue making some money. I'll put in a bus stop up here and run suburban areas up into this one. Get rid of this stop here, which is causing quite some grief. It was good at the start, especially because the depot's there, but I think for now, a bus stop up here, we can remove this stop, move it in here, and then have the main loop running around the city, including Ivy Park here, to service these two plus this, and then have suburbia out here. I still have a significant suburban demand, which is good, we need that to hit the challenge at all, but I don't necessarily know where I can expand. You're on fire again. It's the second time that building's gone on fire. Thankfully I've got a fire station down here somewhere now. Yep. I don't exactly know where I can extend this suburb. I'll probably end up destroying the corner here and putting another roundabout in and driving a little bit out this way, just because that seems to be the flattest space that we have available. But it's probably time for us to look into another smaller suburb, maybe over here, and connect it up here, and then I can do a bus shuttle once we have the station in. But that might be for our next episode. So let's see if we can put this bus station in, and then yeah, see what comes out of it. Alright, so there we go. We finally hit Big Town. Yay. I think that's where I'm going to leave it for today. It's probably a really good spot to leave it. In the next episode we might have a look at Metro and how we can apply that. Our bank is doing okay. We've got 130 odd thousand, and we can start to satisfy a lot of our industrial demand with IT clusters, which is, yes, a whole lot better as far as I'm concerned. It doesn't pollute, it's less traffic, it's much nicer. I think for now, and yes, we've finally got high density and high density commercial. So now that we've got both of these, we can go back to our suburbs that were over here and start to reclassify some of these and some of these. I think this one might do really well as a high commercial hub because of the bus station that we put in here. These bus lines seem to be going quite well. We've got even distribution of numbers, which is nice. A large number of stops for both. Large number of vehicles, which is fine. I am still worried about our ability to hit this because we're now past halfway. So we might end up failing. That's a horrible thing to say, but maybe then I can come back and reevaluate what went wrong and have a look at how to do it better next time. What a good way to end the first series. For now, all our overall metrics are looking fine. We do need to have a look at fire and police and rescue. Now that I've got the big disaster response unit over here, we can hopefully incorporate that into our survival for whenever the next natural disaster hits. Still appreciate this meteor crater. That's quite an impressive crater considering it landed so close to Ivy Park, our suburb up here. And I think Rosewood Square is going quite well. We've got quite a lot of foot traffic. It's not interfering with the main road, which is nice. We don't seem to be having any traffic issues. There's nothing banking up anywhere. If I bring up the traffic overview, yeah, even the highway interchange here is still quite nice and green. So I'm happy with the traffic. Roundabouts are doing their jobs. Prioritized roads. The buses are doing well in terms of getting people off the roads. We've got 400 residents per week, but I think if we look at the actual line itself, car trips save 90%. So 90% of car owners prefer buses, which is great. Here, if we have a look at this one, 88. If we have a look at one of the blue ones, 100%. So people are not, for the blue line, which is the counterclockwise loop that goes around here and takes people from suburbia to commercial to industrial and back. People are not driving that route. They'd prefer to use the buses, which is amazing. But now we just need to get the numbers right up. I think we've got a really good structure here. We've got some parks in there. I need to add some more parks in here so they upgrade. And we can get more people in. That should be pretty simple at the start of next episode, putting a few parks in, expanding this out a little bit more, and reclassifying a lot of stuff over time, slowly, as high density. So very exciting. I think that's where I'm going to leave it today. Thanks very much for tuning in. Again, throw me a like, subscribe, I'd really appreciate it, and I'll see you all next time.